ashver.com.
Hello and welcome to ashver.com. You are watching an interesting and informative video on the undeniable truth about swollen feet that no one is telling you.
Please read the disclaimer carefully.
Why do my feet, ankles and calves swell? Swelling of the body tissue is a symptom of having too much salt in your body. This is presumed to be as a result of too much salt, sodium, intake through dietary means. This is a well-known fact, publicized by the media. This is misleading. Why? When hands, feet, ankles or calves swell, it is highly likely due to high sodium levels in their body. There are many major contributors, such as pregnancy, medication or disease, heart failure, chronic renal disease or liver disease, to take into consideration. However, in general, 70% of people experience unexplained swelling. Causes: 1. You're too fat. 2. You eat too much salt. 3. You drink too much. 4. You spend a lot of time on your feet. 5. You spend a lot of time sitting down. All possible contributors, but is that really what causes puffy, tight feet that ache more than they should? Fact: if you experience swelling of the limbs due to too much salt in your body, it's probably not anything that you're doing. If you experience sudden, unexplained swelling to any extremities, then you should consult a doctor. If, however, you have ruled out the typical contributors of pregnancy, medication and serious disease, and the swell is becoming a chronic problem, then too much salt in your system is. What causes feet, ankles and legs to swell? The swelling is caused by fluid retention in the tissues. Excess fluid, that isn't being removed from the body's system sufficiently enough, collects and then gets trapped in the tissues. Gravity also takes a big role in the fact that the swelling, pooling of fluid, happens in the lowest parts of the body. Also the fact that these body parts are also the furthest away from the heart, which is a circulatory issue, also contributes. The veins leak fluid into the surrounding tissues. This excess fluid causes the tissues to swell. This is known as edema. Why do we need salt? The body requires salt for many essential functions. It helps maintain the fluid in our cells and is used to transmit information in our nerves and muscles. It is also used in the uptake of certain nutrients from our small intestines. The body cannot make salt, and so we are reliant on food to ensure that we get the required intake. It is recommended that we have a maximum of 6 grams of salt a day in our diets. Our bodies have a way of telling us when we require an additional intake. We crave food sources high in salt. Cravings have a bad press of being bad for us. Sometimes we do crave foods that are bad for us. These are often high in sources of fat, sugar, carbohydrates and additives. When any food source is eaten to excess, just like when other things in life are overdone, it becomes an issue. However, natural, everyday cravings are our body's way of alerting us to its requirements to function. When an unhealthy obsession with any particular type of food occurs, it is usually as a result of a psychological problem rather than a physiological. Have you been misguided? Ignoring natural cravings is very dangerous. Without enough salt to function properly, the body will suffer deficiency and systematic malfunctions will occur. It is a good idea to keep a check on how much salt is actually in your diet, and that it is kept in moderation. But this dietary point is not the reason for there being an excess of salt in the body that causes swollen feet. Have you been told to reduce the amount of salt in your diet so that you don't get swollen feet? Has your doctor, or other healthcare provider, advised you that by removing salt from your diet that your puffy ankles and aching legs will no longer swell up as the day goes by? Have you been told that your feet swell because you are overweight? Or because you've recently put weight on? Do you simply put up with the daily tightening and swelling of feet, ankles and calves just because you're a little overweight and that's what's expected? Cut down the amount of fluid you drink. Have you been told that this will help you reduce lower limb swelling? Do you spend a lot of your day standing on your feet? Walking around or standing in the same position? Only to find that at the end of the day, your shoes are so tight that your feet want to escape. Or are you sat down a lot through your day? There are a copious amount of jobs that require people to sit in the same position for extended periods of time. Have you been told that this is causing the tender swelling and that you should try and move? The truth. It is a fallacy that any of the above cause swollen extremities. If pregnancy or chronic disease are not present, then there is no reason for salt to build up in the body to cause edema. It is not happening because you're slightly overweight, or because you like salty foods. Nor is it because you drink a lot of liquids. Your body requires fluid for many functions, and is made up of 60% water. Dehydration is an enemy, and even if you're not drinking enough throughout the day, it is still possible for the body to pool fluid in your feet and hands. Just because you have to stand up a lot throughout the day, or the opposite and remain seated in the same position, is not going to be the main cause of swelling feet and ankles. The feet and legs do become tired and can ache from excessive use, but this is a muscular issue. Not moving around much can cause pins and needles sensations in your lower limbs, and also numbness, but this has a vascular. So what is causing the body to have too high salt levels that are causing the swelling? You found out what isn't causing the problem, the things that you have been led to believe for years. The misguiding fallacies that the media portray and that misinformed health givers have been advising for years have caused much unnecessary suffering. The reason that the body sometimes retains too much salt, that causes swelling, is very mild kidney dysfunction. Before you panic or race off to your doctor because you're terrified, don't be alarmed. Many of us live with mild renal impairment without even becoming aware and live healthy lives. What do the kidneys do? The kidneys are a filtration system. They remove natural and self-imposed toxins from the body. Natural toxins are produced as a byproduct of other bodily systems, such as the digestive system. Imposed toxins are those that we put into our bodies or as we are exposed to environmentally. These toxins are removed from the body via the kidneys, which use fluids to flush the toxins out as urine. If the kidney function is impaired in any way, excess fluid will build up in the body. What can I do about it? There is no medical treatment for very mild renal impairment. Dialysis is only needed if severe chronic renal failure occurs. By all means ask your doctor if you can have a renal function test, but very limited impairment does not have a cure. Diuretics might be prescribed, but have a limited use. There are however a few things that you can do to reduce the chances of suffering from swollen feet, ankles and legs. There is little that you can do regarding the mild renal impairment, but you can aid your body so that it has a better chance of not suffering the damages of sodium buildup. Looking at your diet. The recommended daily intake of sodium is 6 grams, that's about 1 teaspoon. Eating an excessive amount of salt will not only affect your kidneys and fluid retention, but also other body organs, such as the liver, which is another filtration system. High blood pressure could also be an unwelcome visitor. Our body uses up salt when we sweat, and we all sweat, even when the weather is cold. But excessive salt intake will put a strain on already struggling kidneys, so help them out and be aware of how much salt you eat. Look at the labels on food packets, they will tell you how much salt is in 100 grams of that product. As a rule of thumb, if you are suffering from swelling in your lower extremities, you should exclude foods with more than 50 milligrams of salt per 100 grams. This includes bacon, canned anchovies, olives in brine, cheese, wild bread, salami, pasties and some breakfast cereals amongst other things. These are all extremely high in salt per 100 grams and are very unhealthy. By excluding, or at least drastically reducing, the amount of these foods in our diet, it will lead to the kidneys having to deal with less excessive sodium levels. When just faced with normal salt intake levels, the mildly impaired kidneys should be able to adequately deal with the processing system. Another thing to avoid in your diet is fizzy drinks. Carbonated drinks, such as soda and sparkling water, are renowned for causing tissue swelling, especially in the feet and hands. Alcohol is another guilty culprit. It causes tissues to retain fluid, as alcohol naturally depletes the body of essential fluid and causes dehydration as side effect. Alcohol also affects the liver, which in turn causes associated problems. Rice and pasta are also known to cause fluid retention, not just in the extremities, but to also cause a bloated feeling elsewhere in the body. So removing these from your diet, even if temporarily so as to prove it to yourself, can result in stop. What else can I do apart from watch my diet? Gravity does play its part in where the excess fluid collects. You find that your feet are less swollen first thing in the morning, when you get out of bed. As your feet and legs have been raised for several hours, the pooled fluid disperses around the body. Once you're up and about again, the fluid begins to make a beeline for the lower limbs. Adequate rest is important, and raising your legs so that they are the same height as your heart can cause the excess fluid to disperse. This should relieve any swelling in the feet and help avoid further fluid retention when practiced regularly. So now you have the hard, bare facts about why feet, ankles and legs inexplicably swell. Extremely mild renal dysfunction is experienced, and goes undiagnosed, by a surprisingly large amount of the population. There is little that we can do to prevent or cure it, so we have to adapt our lives slightly to compensate. Some dietary compromises can result in phenomenal results, leaving you feeling healthier and happier. Thank you for watching this interesting and informative video. This channel offers motivational, inspirational, valuable and informative videos to soothe, cleanse and inspire your health, mind, body and spirit. You can find a lot of interesting videos on wide range of topics here. Stay tuned and keep watching.